Okay guys, we are in the Grand Cherokee L Summit Reserve, and it's time to go take this thing on a drive. Now, if you haven't joined me on my full tour review, I'm going to take you guys on a quick little exterior walk around. If not, skip right to the driving portion of this video. And this thing is really epic, really gorgeous, and I have been really enjoying it over the past week and a half. It's going to beep a few times. I believe the key is in the vehicle right now. Hydro Blue Metallic is an epic pink color, and of course this is the L Summit Reserve high altitude package. So everything's outside is all blacked out, really aggressive looking. I really like the new front end of the Grand Cherokees. It looks really muscular, really bold. We kind of have this fire weather out here as some Canadian wildfire smoke is taking over New York right now, but this new Grand Cherokee is a really bold statement, and especially in this color. Super comfortable, super luxurious now, and the interior on this thing is just absolutely epic. Loads of space in the back, air suspension. Just check this beast out. It's in its lowest ride height right now in the entry exit mode. It just looks absolutely epic, and I cannot wait to show you guys how this thing drives on the road. I wish you could feel it in person if you haven't experienced one, because it really is a special experience. So let me go show you this right now. Quick little look at the rear seats. I have to open up the door really quickly. Gorgeous amount of space back here, really nice materials throughout. Even the bottom of the doors are wrapped in leather, heated cooled second row seats, and you have room back there for some 2 extra passengers. Nice solid thunk from the doors as well. Almost sounds like a G-Wagon, nice and solid. Love that Summit illuminated badge, and this interior is just wow. They blew it out of the ballpark here. And let's go take this thing on a drive now, guys. Love that sound. Okay guys, let's take this thing on a drive. Okay guys, so what do we have here? We have a 3.6 liter Pentastar V6 under the hood over there, naturally aspirated. You can opt for a Hemi V8 until that goes away. We may see a new engine coming really soon in the form of a turbocharged or twin turbocharged inline 6. Not confirmed, I'm just speculating there. We may see that coming soon, and maybe a 4xe powertrain for the L. Not too sure about that yet. Nonetheless, we have an 8-speed ZF gearbox. Love this shifter. It's metal. Check that out. I love that sound over there. Makes really nice sound putting it into gear. It feels really solid, and you have these controls for your drive mode selectors over here, and this fully digital cluster, which we'll look at a little bit more on the highway. Big screens and everything. This is a really beautiful space, and let's head out on the road. Now, this engine makes around 290-ish horsepower, which honestly is pretty okay. It's adequate, I think, for this vehicle. I love the turns indicator sound too. It has a really premium feel to it, and this steering is, oh, it's just like butter to me. I think it's one of my favorite steering systems in like one of these big SUVs I've ever felt. I just came out of the Kia Telluride, and that felt very thin steering wheel. It felt very loose off center. It felt very, I hate to say it, but it felt cheap. This feels like a luxury car, like it's built like a vault, like a tank. It's very well damped. Oh, it's just perfect. And it may not be like the most communicative feel, but it just is wonderful to use. And the steering wheel itself is really nice, stitched and wrapped in leather. These buttons are a little bit dim, I will say. Even with the headlights on, you really have to be in like the pure dark to see them. I wish they're illuminated a little bit higher. There's a little bit of some inconsistencies about illumination with some buttons and switchgear here. Nonetheless, it is still a pretty nice space. This engine has a nice grunt and sound to it. You know, it's the tried and true Pentastar. It's pretty reliable too of an engine. Hemi is good, but the fuel economy on these things is just not good in general. Put it into sport mode, a little bit of acceleration for you guys. It has a nice sonorous sound to it too. In sport mode, it holds the gears a little bit longer. I'm just going to put it back into auto. I think that's its best performing setting. And once you're out on the highway, the air suspension will kind of lower itself into this aerodynamic mode if you are in a higher setting, and it will raise itself up from its entry exit position as well. And you can always adjust that down here from the air suspension control module, which is really cool. And it gets really high when you need that ground clearance too, which I think is really cool. If you can see on camera, we do have a full color heads-up display there. Beautiful, crystal clear. I really do like it, and it displays a lot of information. You can also adjust that through this infotainment system. Now, this Grand Cherokee, let me tell you something. I'm from the pictures and stuff. This is my first time actually driving one, especially in the summer reserve trim. It looked gorgeous. The interior looked really nice, but I genuinely was shocked when I got into this to feel the driving feel and to feel the chassis and everything. It genuinely did blow me away. Cover up this badge, and just from the driving experience alone, you will think you were in some kind of German high-end luxury vehicle. It is so good to drive. The air suspension, while I do think over some harsher bumps it does get a little bit jittery, maybe it could be damped a little bit more and a little bit more controlled in those settings, but again, it is tuned to be able to get really high up for the extra ground clearance when you need it in off-road 2 mode. But over general bumps and notches in the road, it just soaks them up beautifully. It really is fantastic. And the sound insulation in here is just wonderful. You have acoustically laminated glass. This one also has active sound cancellation, so it's going to be canceling out sounds around you additionally on top of that. So it is really quiet on here, especially on the highway. This thing is a wonderful cruiser. This one also has it's pretty expensive, but there is a full safety suite kind of a driver assistance package that you can get here, and we'll test that out once we get on the highway. It has all of that fun stuff, so we'll get to that in a second. Just gimmick wise, I do like how you have all these buttons up here in this kind of 7-slot design. You can easily turn on and off your parking sensors. It can park itself. It has full park assist, so you just take your hands off the wheel and it will park itself into a spot and find the spot for you, which is pretty cool. It's merging onto the highway here, and you have quick access buttons for your automatic stop start, lane departure warning, and some traction control buttons as well. And I love the ambient lighting in here, and this interior space is just absolutely gorgeous. And on the highway, pop on a massage, turn on all that cruise control stuff, and you'll be set for a long road trip. And it may not be the most advanced kind of driver assistance systems that we have on the market right now, but it is really good in its own right. So to activate it, you can be in any screen, and you can simply just turn on your cruise control button easily right here, press this little center button to turn on steering assist and everything, and you'll have these kind of green indicators will appear into your, just set the speed. These little green icons will appear on the side over here to let you know it's active and ready. I absolutely love that. That's a really cool indication that you are in this mode. And I'm gonna pop it right now into the screen. We'll kind of display what I'm seeing in the heads-up display for you guys. Now, if you can see me circling through this, you'll kind of understand how I've had some issues finding some stuff in this infotainment system because it is a little bit cluttered sometimes. Here it is. Okay, so we are in here, and a little Grand Cherokee will pop up in here if it detects there's a car in front of us, which is really cool. Really easy controls to adjust your following distance and your speed. If you hold it down, you can adjust it up and down, which is really cool. I don't know why it's in kilometers right now. I may have accidentally done that. And we're in miles an hour again. Okay, so you have this analog screen. You also have a digital screen like this, which is really cool if you like the more traditional gauges. Pop this button, you can kind of get your fan view. You can here, you have a whole bunch of other displays here, like your oil pressure, tire pressure, stop start system, your terrible fuel economy, because this thing does not get fuel economy. I have been averaging 14.7 miles to the gallon over this drive. It's just not good. These big SUVs are not good in general, but this Grand Cherokee it doesn't get the best fuel economy. And this is the V6. You can also get the Hemi V8, and I wish it was better. So hopefully we'll see a 4xe powertrain coming soon. And again, you can keep cycling through all these displays. There is the map display, which I usually tend to leave it in. You have an Apple CarPlay display as well as some off-road page information stuff, but I usually just keep it in the map display or the active driving display, which kind of shows you all that information. Now, if you are using Apple Maps, it actually will kind of give you directions and guidance stuff up here. I'm just going to take control because there's some construction going on over here. Now this is a capacitive touch steering wheel. So some steering wheels, when they're in their steering assist mode, require force to be applied by your hands. This one literally just needs to be recognizing that there's like a human or some kind of capacitive touch on here. A lot of automakers have strayed away from this as it's a little unsafe, as you can kind of like cheat code it by, you know, we've seen people do that on the internet. Do not do that. I am not recommending that, but that's just something that a lot of manufacturers I see are moving away from and more to the force. So you kind of have that more security that there is a person really behind the wheel. And remember, these are safety assistance systems. This is not a full self-driving vehicle at all. It's not meant to be either. So it really is just assisting you on your drive. And it does do a very good job at it, I do have to say. I'm just gonna go back into this system again. adjust my speed. And we should go back onto this in a second. And it does have full-on stop and go functionality. There's no automatic lane change like the Kia I just had. And honestly, I could care less about that function because it's a little silly. You don't really need to automatically lane change. I can perfectly do that by myself. You do have blind spot cameras as well, so you do have that, which is a fantastically good feature. And then you also have this Macintosh audio system, which I can't play for you guys right now. I don't want to get copyrighted audio, but there's a cool little screen in here that will kind of show your this app screen has been the most annoying glitch I've seen. If you can see what's happening right now, every time I try to go to the app screen, it like loads to something else. That's literally the only issue I've had with this infotainment system. Here it is. It just shows like the decibel output, which is kind of funky. I usually just keep it in Apple CarPlay though, and this screen generally works completely fine. You also have the passenger screen, which can turn on and off with this button. You can't see it from the driver's seat really, but if I move the camera over there, you can see it. It's on, and passengers can enjoy that, which is fantastic. And we're on the highway and in the Grand Cherokee, and you may be able to hear how quiet it is in this interior. It's pretty silent. And we have the panoramic roof half open with the shade. If I do close it, it gets a little bit more quiet here, which is really nice. And this thing really is a cruiser. Like I said, pop on the massage, put on some tunes, keep your heads-up display in front of you. I want to show you the Grand Cherokee in the center screen. It's kind of cool. A little bit of that little Grand Cherokee there, which looks cool. But yeah, it's a cruiser. It really is. It's so comfortable on the highway, and that air suspension is really premium and top-notch feeling, I have to say. They did a really good job just tuning this chassis, and you know, they're never going to admit it, and they have kind of admitted a little bit that there is some components and stuff and learnings from the Giorgio platform that was kind of, you know, coded up with Ferrari, Alfa Romeo, all that stuff. It's definitely on its kind of more own unique chassis, just because it has the transfer case, it has the air suspension built in and all that stuff, but there are some learnings from that really premium platform that the Italians and Germans and engineers have all kind of worked on. So you do kind of get that refinement in here, and it feels super solid. If you've gone from the old Grand Cherokee into this new generation, it is night and day with quality and just solidity, and it really does feel like a well-built vehicle. And at this price point, for this Summit Reserve with the high altitude package, with this options that you're getting for this digital systems and stuff, it's around $76,000, like I mentioned earlier. And it may be a tough pill to swallow, you may seem at first, but honestly, if you're a little bit scared of like the reliability and stuff, I would still lease it. It is such a good vehicle. You have the storage, you have the space, and it's pretty good. It's really good. Now, this is going to be competing with a lot of stuff in the segment, and I've seen people try to compare it to like a Telluride or Palisade, or even a Honda Pilot, which someone said. I'm like, this is absolutely does not compete with the Honda Pilot. You have to remember, those are all front drive transverse platform vehicles. This is a rear drive with obviously a full-time four-wheel drive system, longitudinally mounted engine chassis. This is more in the range of like an Explorer or even a Lincoln Aviator for that sense, and even the all-new Mazda CX-90. I honestly would even compare this to like a Q7, honestly even an X5 at this point, because these interiors are in the quality of this chassis and everything are just so good. I think what they're really lacking though is the engine department. There's just carryover engines, so hopefully we'll see the new Hurricane engine, which is a modern twin turbo inline 6 in here, and maybe the 4xe engine in the L. You can get that in the regular one. That's a pretty cool plug-in hybrid powertrain, very popular right now as well. All that nonsense aside, I really and genuinely have had zero complaints about this car from this past week. It's just so good. A little infotainment system and tech quirks. Some of the graphics could be a little bit better, and yeah, this stock is very cheap and these buttons could be a little bit better, but it's just nitpicking stuff at this point. It's so comfortable in here, and this is one of the first press vehicles that I've gotten where I don't want to go back into my Volvo and drive it. I actually haven't driven it in this week and a half, because I am just in love with driving this thing. It's just so good. It feels like a luxury car. I'm just gonna go off on this exit here, turn off active driving assist, and you're just back into your normal control, just like that. And around town maneuvering, you get that really high driving position. I'm sitting right now. I like to sit low in the vehicle, and you can sit like that, but you can also get that commanding, almost like Range Rover old body on frame style SUV driving position just by moving the seat up. And you have that nice big hood, and it's not a super long hood either. You do have kind of a shorter, stubbier hood to help with kind of off-roading, and that actually helps with visibility too. And you don't also feel cramped in here. The windows on the side are pretty big. The mirrors are huge. Your blind spots in the back aren't actually that bad, and nonetheless you have blind spot monitoring. You have this camera as a mirror if you want it as well, to kind of like look back there. It's just, it has it all, and it feels luxurious, comfortable, and well built as well. So I have to give Jeep some major props to this. And you know, I can't speak to reliability. That's always going to be a question coming up when you are talking with these brand new vehicles, especially, you know, an American vehicle with new tech and Jeep and stuff. But it's just good. It's a really good car, and I definitely think you should kind of look at it if you're looking at a big 3-row vehicle, and even if you're looking at the regular 5-seater in the short wheelbase. I think it's a fantastic buy in this segment. Now, it's definitely not any sort of like sporty type of vehicle at all, and you can see me, I'm not driving it in any kind of like canyon carving way, because it's not meant for that. But if you want something like that in this class, that's not like a super uber expensive German vehicle, go straight to the CX-90 from Mazda. That thing drives, wow, fantastically. It drives well. It's more of a driver's car. It doesn't have any of the off-road props that this has. You have like a full-on locker, you have that air suspension, you have all these modes that are really going to give you that traction off-road if you need it, as well as the off-road pages. But so, you know, sporty dynamic stuff, not for this vehicle. But that's not to say this thing does not handle well. It does handle well. The air suspension and the suspension itself just doesn't, it really doesn't feel like you have that super large amount of body roll. It very is good at handling and composing the vehicle around tight turns. I never feel like it's like rolling over or anything, and I did feel that in the Telluride. I felt like it was a little bit like all over the place. And sure, this isn't as big as that car. It definitely feels like a well-sorted chassis, and things are all working together and working well. So I do have to give them a huge amount of props on that front as well. And I might be like fanboying over this, and I'm definitely not a Jeep person, but this thing is just, it really did blow me away over the course of this week. I just went over that pothole cover there, or a manhole cover there, and it just glides right over it. You can hear it, but you don't feel it, which I think is really cool. So yeah, guys, this is the Grand Cherokee L. If you haven't gotten experience to go drive one of these new Grand Cherokees, especially in this higher trim Summit Reserve with all these fancy features, I definitely recommend go doing it. It's a blast. If you can't swallow the $76,000 pill that this one's coming in at, these do start down in the high 40s, low 50s. You can get a pretty decently equipped Limited or an Overland, and it's still going to be a good buy. And there's a reason why you do see these all over the place, is because they're just popular. They do it all. They have the cool style, and they have the tech now, and the luxury and the refinement that I think people are looking for. Anyways, guys, thank you for joining me on this drive and full review of the Grand Cherokee L Summit Reserve. Huge thanks to Jeep for letting us drive this for this even extended period of time, and stay tuned as always for more coming from Allcarnews. Cheers.